Hey everybody, welcome to Fresh Out the Box Plays, Skyrim the board game. I am the usual game master and board game guru extraordinaire, Johannanon.
I am the voice of Casualty CDG, retired child crimes and human trafficking detective, turned tabletop titan and improv comedian.
I'm Chris Birch, the founder of Modifius and secretly a squirrel whisperer.
Oh, that I didn't know that, which makes sense. You said it was a secret.
Yeah.
And so I think the first question I would ask about this game, which is burning a hole in everyone's mind, how much cheese do you get to eat?
Very good question. You'll have to find out when you play the quest. Awesome. Will people be able to see the game?
Oh yeah, they can see everything you're doing.
Okay, awesome. So I can be talking about stuff as we go.
So Chris was talking to us before we started about the sort of replayability that this game has to offer, and the abstract, taking the ideas out of what Elder Scrolls is and putting it into this game, which I think was just an awesome. I'm sorry we didn't have it recorded, but if you could kind of you could explain.
I can do it again. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'll try and describe it again, but probably not as well.
Yeah, we can never recreate the magic, right? We'll just.
So yeah, we didn't want to make Skyrim the accountancy board game because there's no point trying to recreate an amazing video game in a board game. It would be so dull. You might as well go and play the video game. So what we've tried to do is capture some of the fun and the stuff that you really enjoy in Skyrim, which is traveling around, meeting interesting characters, leveling up, fighting cool monsters, getting awesome loot, and seeing this really fun story unfold based on your choices and decisions. And the way the game does this is through this numbered deck. And I want you to imagine that you can pick one side of a pyramid, and you're all of you are trying to climb to the top, whether it's one player or up to 4 players. And you've got so many routes to the top of that pyramid, and that's the same with this game. The choices you make when you start playing let you go up so many different story paths to get to the kind of big finale for each chapter. And there's 6 chapters in the game in the main box, so there's an enormous amount of replayability. And every time you restart, you can pick a different side of that pyramid, a different story start, a different set of decisions. So you can imagine there's like literally hundreds of hours of gameplay in this. And to give you an idea, the first chapter, we kind of typically say it takes about an hour to play. And it's, if you focus on the missions, the main quests, you could probably do it in an hour. I played a game this morning that took 2.5 hours. And we got totally distracted. We were like finding amazing treasure, and we were. Sorry, I just need to open the door for my wife. 1 second.
No problem. Yeah, welcome. Yeah, no, it looks like a lot of fun. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Skyrim. I know Gary is too. Since Gary is having some technical issues, I'll show off my dragon that Gary also has. Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
That's the collector's edition of the original game.
That's badass, isn't it?
It's a shame you can't see mine. I put it just over my right shoulder also. Jahan and I had them. We were living in the same house and had them side by side for a while. We used to be roommates. Yeah. And so we ended up decorating our Christmas tree with the dragon every year now. That's our star that goes on top.
Oh, that's cool. We've got a nice big resin dragon for our miniatures war game for Elder Scrolls, Call to Arms.
Hell yeah.
That's really cool. And maybe there's a plastic dragon coming in this if you... Hint, hint. Yes, what I was saying is there's this really big story structure. So what I hope you'll see is actually the gameplay is pretty simple and straightforward, but elegant and interesting. And that the real depth is in story, is that you just constantly keep playing these stories. As I said, this morning we were 2.5 hours into what should be an hour game, And we were like, we just keep, there's this other dungeon, if we just go and do that. And I was like, you know what, I've actually got to finish, I've got to go to another meeting. And like, we just need to get to the High King and tell this story. And we could easily have played for another hour or 2 hours. And really, like, I don't know anyone who plays Skyrim and doesn't get distracted, right? Who follows just the main quests?
Yeah, boo.
So, if you just want to steamroll through this, yeah, you could play it quickly. But if you play this how you play Skyrim, you're going to be here for hours and hours and hours. And just someone else made a review earlier where they're like, we were 3 hours in and we didn't even realize we were having so much fun. And, and the great thing is you can all go and play this for free right now on Tabletop Simulator, which is where we are. And even though it's a stripped back version of the game, I've been demoing this like 3 or 4 times a day, and I don't get bored because I keep seeing a different story and I can play a different character. So hopefully you'll see that. We're going to go through a few sample turns now and explain some of the mechanics and have a chat about the game. I think we should just dive in and start telling this awesome story.
By all means, absolutely. I'm so excited.
Same.
So one of the big things that's come out about this is a prequel to Skyrim. So you're going to learn what happened to the Blades. You're some surviving members of the Blades, and it's set 25 years before this dude is on a cart on his way to an execution in Helgen and gets chased by a dragon. So you've really got your chance to make your mark on Skyrim at this critical time. So we've got a little card over here. I'm on the left hand side of the board. And this is what is one of our little chapter start cards. So I'll read this out for you so you get the English accent. So it's year 175 of the 4th era. The Great War rages across Tamriel. A group of young Blades recruits go on their first mission, a patrol around the forests of Cyrodiil. A Thalmor ambush catches them off guard and they barely escape alive. Upon returning to their camp, they find it desolated. The Thalmor have been here. Cyrodiil is not safe for them anymore. They escape to Skyrim, far from the Thalmor's clutches. And in Skyrim, the Reachmen have conquered Markarth, and tensions between them and the Nords are rising. Ominous music. So this is... This tells us that there's no special rules for this chapter, but we have this thing called chapter failure. If a main quest card, which is the quest cards you have, reaches its threat, this symbol, little kind of dark face with what looks like barbed wire around it. If you reach your threat limit, you fail the chapter. And now, that doesn't mean you fail the game and you have to start again. What it means is you'll stop at that point. You won't see the rest of this chapter and you move on to the second chapter and it's going to be harder. The world is going to get tougher. So we believe in celebrating incompetency. I don't think there's nothing worse than it's like, we failed. We've got to start all over again. Well, we haven't got time tonight. Let's, and like, do we really, I had a really cool character. I'm going to keep going. And you just keep going. You don't have to start.
American public schools also celebrate incompetency.
Well, hopefully everyone's going to enjoy this. I hate having to start again. So, and I like seeing what happens when the world gets harder.
Yeah, that is one of the issues with like Gloomhaven. I do find myself getting frustrated having to do the same mission over and over just to progress.
Well, this you'll only do the same mission over and over if you restart the game. You could go back and try the chapter again, and it's just flat. And the thing is, you won't see necessarily the same mission. You'll see a different story. You might see the odd thing pop up once or twice, but you're bound to see quite a different story structure every time you play.
Yeah.
Now, you guys have picked a couple of classic characters. You've got the Nord, who's a bit of a tank, yeah, and you've got the Khajiit, who's the sneaking ninja. So we'll come into like what they actually do, but you've got pretty standard character boards here. We've got some stats, health, magicka, and stamina. You've got slots for various equipment around the board, like helmets, armor, weapons, boots. What looks like rings, that means wearables, potions, couple of statuses. You might be wanted. You might have a warrant for you. You might have vampirism even in the Dawnguard expansion. And then there's some backpack spaces. And we'll come to what the character cards do. So every good game of Skyrim starts with you being arrested, right? Or a prisoner. Yeah. So we've got some cards here, which are just on the left of the table. And
it's so classically Elder Scrolls, right? You're arrested as a slave in the beginning of Morrowind, and you're arrested and thrown in the dungeons in the beginning of Oblivion, and now, of course, here we are in Skyrim, again coming in on a cart, arrested, but we're pre that and still starting arrested. Perfect.
Gary, I'm shuffling. Shout stop.
Stop.
You were captured.
Okay.
And then, okay, next one, we'll take just the next card there for you. So, do you want to, if you just take the quest card down to your character board and put it on the right-hand end of the character board. All right. So, why don't we start with captured, yeah? Do you want to read out your story, or do you want me to read it?
I wake up with a terrible headache. My hands and feet are bound to a chair. What happened last night? A man, my captor, sleeps on a straw mattress nearby. I easily break my bindings and face the sleeping guard. I dispatch him and explore the room. My captor's house is in a state of decay. Half of the roof collapsed a long time ago, and chicken freely roam around. Inside a satchel, I find a mysterious note.
Okay, turn the card over.
Go no.
Okay, so if you just continue reading the last bit.
Dear Nearith, I hear you're good at finding people. This letter contains a list of names of people I need you to find and capture. I'll make it worth your while. Moiva Carne. On the back of the letter, I find a list of names of blades, mine included. Place your figure in Riften.
So there's your character here. Geography test for Skyrim there. So now you've got a choice to make. So you've got option 1 or option 2. And this is important. This is going to determine the whole beginning of your quest structure that you're going to follow now.
I'll go with option 2. I like looking for an information broker to find Moiva Carne.
So we've got for those of you who are going to use the mod, there's the small numbered deck here. And you just go to the deck and there's a little place to enter a number. You type in the number and it spits out the card. Beautifully simple. So this is I'm going to bring that down for you. That's your first quest card. Now the other thing we've got to remember is you can choose 2 equipment. So let's go to the top of the board. And I've spread out the gear just under the rule books. So we've got hide armor, iron daggers, iron armor, iron battle axe, iron shield, iron sword, novice robes, spark spells, and a longbow.
And so I get to grab 2?
Yeah, so I would take a piece of armor and a battle axe. So, for example, the iron armor is pretty good for the Nord. It's got good protection. You've got the battle axe, which does a lot of damage. That's the kind of tank weapon. Equally so, you could do something like a shield and a sword if you wanted to.
I was thinking about sword and shield and going for the armor later. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just bank on surviving my first encounter until I can get some armor.
No problem. You never know, you might find some cool treasure armor. So yeah, we're going to move your fists down. Now you do keep the ragged robes, so you still got a little bit of armor from that. So you put the shield and sword in your right and left hands. There you go. Now, that is you. So we've got one more thing to do. You can see with your quest card. So this is a quest card. This is your main quest card because it's black. and it can take up to 4 threats. I'll talk about threat in a minute. That's kind of a bit of a timer in the game. And you've got a little symbol there for the quest marker. So you want to put your coloured quest marker on Winterhold, so you know you've got to go there.
Awesome.
And then the rest of the card shows you a bit of an idea of what's coming up. You're going to have an objective to open a strange-looking chest. And the main thing here is that if you had some plants, some plant materials, components, you would be able to roll extra dice. So you've got 2 plants. We all start with 2 plants, so you should be able to do that quite easily. And there's a number on a little box underneath Winterhold. That is an indication of what level you should be for this quest. The game gives you a hint about how hard it's going to be. So if that was a 1, you'd probably want to go and level up, but it's a 0. So you should be able to do this.
And the quest marker to put on...
sorry. It's just at the top of the board, you've got your little quest marker there, so grab
cool.
your colour. There you go.
That's such a cool touch. I love it.
It is the waypoint that you put on. That's great.
Right, let's go to the Khajiit.
Yeah.
Who's waiting patiently, who's trapped. Do you want to read your story?
I don't think I can do a good Khajiit voice. Khajiit is me.
Very good.
Narens, a traveling explorer, hires me to protect her while exploring some ruins. The place is quiet, yet it makes me feel uneasy. Deep in the ruins, she pulls a lever, and a cage falls right next to me, failing to trap me. We both silently stare at each other. Her disappointment is palpable. It only takes me 1 strike to defeat her. A note falls from my attempted captor's pocket as she falls. Narns, it's been too long since we last spoke, and now I come to you asking for assistance. I need you to keep some people secure in your ruins. Their names are on the back of this letter. I'll give you what you've always wanted if you do. Moivin Carne. On the back of the letter I find a list of names of blades, mine included. Place your figure in Whiterun.
See, there's a connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just got Whiterun in the middle there.
There it is, yeah.
Right. Okay. So now you've got a choice to make.
Yes.
Will you recruit Mighty Warrior or someone wiser than you to help find Moivin Carne?
I think it would be wise to seek out wisdom. So
Okay.
go with option 2.
Get me card 170. It's going to be your quest then. So you can take that down to the... And then that replaces, yeah. Oh, no, sorry. That's the one. Now, also, we need to get you some equipment. So let's have a look at the starting gear. The Khajiit really favours anything that helps them sneak. So you've got hide armour that gives you extra sneak, and you've got iron dagger that also lets you sneak. But you don't have to take that. You can do anything you like.
I'm always tempted to go wizardy.
Sure. Now, the only thing is you can't sneak with a spell. Now, you could take a spell and an iron dagger, and then you'd be able to sneak with the iron dagger, but use the spell otherwise.
You know, now you're speaking my language.
Mm-hmm.
And you've still got your ragged robes. You've got a bit of armor, so it's not too bad. And guys, also, you're going to be able to forge or craft any of this starting gear in a town. If you've got the ore, they all cost 2 ore to craft. So if you're not finding the gear you need, you can always go and craft some armor.
Very interesting.
All right.
Another great implementation of some classic Elder Scrolls systems.
Yeah, we're gonna drop the. You haven't lost the claws; they're just not usable whilst you're holding things.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
But sometimes you might temporarily not be able to have your equipment for various story reasons, and then
In
of
case I
course you've
get
got
arrested.
Okay. Right. That's basically the setup If you got you need to put your quest marker in Winterhold for the Khajiit.
Quest marker.
Oh, you've got to both go to Winterhold.
How fortuitous.
Yeah, it must be where we meet.
Yeah. So that's the kind of setup, and now it's the first actual turn. So I'm gonna put the first turn marker with the Nord, and what that means is you draw the event card each turn, and if there's any wandering monsters to move, you kind of are the arbiter of where they're gonna, where they're gonna move if there's a decision to make. So let's just shuffle the deck, draw a card. If you just draw a card on this.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah.
And we'll flip it
over. Oh, Daedric Invasion.
Oh.
Move
so
one
this is
Daedra
an
token.
example of a wandering monster. So what it says is move one Daedra token, which is a wandering monster, towards the nearest stronghold or town. If it reaches the stronghold, degrade it and remove the token. I'm going to show you what that means in a moment. If there's no Daedra on the board, place one on a wilderness space. So let's have a look at the board where the counters are. And we've got the wandering monsters from the base game are here. You've got dragons, Dunmer cultists, Thalmor Justiciars, vampires, Daedra, and trolls.
Awesome.
So what was that? Daedra. We got a Daedra. So grab a Daedra token, and you need to put it on a wilderness space, ideally not too close to any towns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yes.
Now, what happens is, if some cards will make them move. If they get to a town, they basically get killed by the defenders, but they cause so much chaos with their attack that they add a threat. So let's have a look at the town table over here. They would add threat to one of the towns. The first threat makes the market inaccessible. You can't buy or sell anything. The second threat means you've got to pay 5 septins to bribe your way in. And the third threat would mean they're rioting and they become a generator of threat every turn, which is very, very bad news. So you can also see that all the towns have different features here, which basically means, as you look at Solitude has a market deck for Path of Might, Shadow, and Sorcery, whereas Markath only has Path of Might items to buy. And you can imagine Path of Might is probably heavier armor, heavier weapons. Shadow is maybe bows and light armor. Sorcery is spells and potions. And then you've got some other symbols that tell you whether you can buy components cheaper or more expensive than usual. So we've got our first event. So we put that into the discard. Now, we have to take 2 threat. So I'm going to grab 2 threat from the top of the board and bring it down. So you've got to put that threat somewhere. And as you can see, each of your quests has a symbol for 4 threat in the upper right corner. So that means you could take up to 3 threat, and the 4th threat would make you fail that quest, which is a condition for failing the chapter. You don't. So I would suggest you take 1 each for now. I'll bring one down for you. All right.
I guess since it's a world event, right, it's for both characters, and that's why we can split the threat up amongst us.
Yeah, that's right. Some of them will say put 1 threat on every quest, in which case you've got no choice.
Okay.
But, for example, you could have put those 2 threat on towns, which would have made life complicated, but it's completely an option. Now, this threat kind of acts as a bit of a gentle push to do 1 or 2 things. Either get on and do your main quest, or find some more quests, personal quests, from interesting characters in towns or wilderness, because then you can absorb more threat and get distracted. So
that's right. More quests, you can split the threat out more.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. So now you can decide. You've done your event. Decide what to do. I'm going to give you a suggestion. Maybe go and do a dungeon together. You can move up to 4 spaces each turn. If you buy a horse, which costs 10 septims, you can move an extra space. And you can steal horses sometimes. Yeah, good point. There's a cave in the middle of both of you. Caves are the simplest dungeons to do. So why don't you move? That's 3 spaces for the Khajiit. Sorry, for the Nord. And 1, 2, 3 spaces for the Khajiit. There we go.
I don't know what it is about miniatures falling over in tabletop sim that gets me every time. In real life, you would never just slam your miniature into somebody else's.
Try playing a war game where you've got like 50 miniatures and they're all wobbling and fall over. It's a bit crazy.
I've always wanted to play a big war game on tabletop sim. We actually haven't had the chance to play one yet, and I've never played a war game in my life like that.
Yeah, they're great fun. I've played a few Ancients battles and playing some World War II with my brother. It's really good fun. Just out of interest, these are 32mm scale plastic figures, and the board is scaled. So in most cases, you can fit 3 or 4 of the heroes around the locations without it looking too silly. And the miniatures are the same scale as our war game, Elder Scrolls Call to Arms. So you can use, if you've got a cool Dragonborn or a Stormcloak that you've painted in the game and you want to use it in this, you absolutely can. It's not going to look odd, and you can take all these miniatures and use them in the game as well.
That's really cool.
Okay, dungeon.
Yeah, that's good foresight there.
Yeah, I just think, why wouldn't you make them the same scale? Not all war gamers are board gamers, and I know not all board gamers are war gamers, but why not make them the same scale? And if you want to try it out, then you can.
I've had a strange complaint over time about games that have custom dice that you can only use for that game. It usually bothers me to have a thing that I can only use for one purpose. So seeing the miniatures here where they're versatile and you can use it for multiple things that's a big thumbs up. Big good thing for the company to do instead of just dump you with a one-time use and move on.
Well, that will offset the custom dice we've got then. I'll take that one. So let's come over to the right. We've got the dungeon area. We've got like several dungeon decks here. We've got animals, humans, undead, Daedra, and Dwemer. So we're going to see what they're like in a minute. And just here above the combat area, we've got a dungeon challenge little card here. This gives you a guide to how difficult the dungeons are in Chapter 1. So as you can imagine, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter 5, 6, etc. are going to be harder and harder combinations and more encounters in each dungeon. So think of these, so we can see that a cave is 2 animals. Think of these as the most dangerous things that you face in each room or area of the dungeon. So in this cave, there's only 2 rooms, but later on we might be facing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rooms or creatures, okay? It's going to get hard and you're going to have to work together. Right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, the new, the Skyrim dungeon music starting. So, let's turn over. What have we got? A mud crab. No, you don't turn the next one. It's okay. So this is the first room. So you don't know what's in the next room. So, I'm going to grab. This mud crab has 2 red armor. Armor is in colors and weapon damage is in colors. Doing red damage against red armor is a bad idea. You want to do yellow. Light damage against red armor or magic damage against red armor. Doing yellow damage against yellow armor is a bad idea, and we'll see why that works. Now, you can sneak up on this mud crab, Mr. Khajiit.
Absolutely.
He's got a difficulty of 1. You can see this circular design. So you only need 1 of those symbols. So let's look at how sneak works.
Look at all those custom dice, Jahan. Look at those custom dice that make me want to throw up.
I love custom dice, yeah.
Jahan loves them and I hate them. So between the 2 of us, we're very happy right now.
Okay, great. Now, every skill test, you get 3 dice as basic. Now, for sneak, you then get a bonus dice for every time you see the word sneak on your character abilities. In the case of, you've got ragged robes, sneak 1, and you've got an iron dagger, sneak 1. So that means you're rolling 5 dice to get one of these circular designs. And just so you know, there's 3 of those on each dice. So this is pretty easy.
I should
So do you
have
wanna
this.
Yeah, you should have it.
Boom.
Okay. It's happened before. I didn't roll them, so you never know. Okay, so that means you successfully sneaked and you got an attack in before the mud crab saw you. So what does that do? So if we have a look at your weapon, sneak with an iron dagger does +2 damage. So what do you need to do? You need to do 2 yellow damage to kill the mud crab because he's got 2 red armor. If you do 2 yellow, he can't defend. It's going to go straight through. Now you can do 2 of your swing attack will do 2, or you can do 4 yellow with your stab attack. Either way, it's going to kill him. If you do the stab attack, it's going to cost you 1 stamina. So I would do the swing attack.
Absolutely, I'll do the swing attack.
It actually doesn't matter because if you spent stamina, you get the stamina back at the end of the room. At the end of each room or encounter, you regain all your stamina and magicka. You don't regain your health unless you have an ability that does let you do so. So, you just killed the mud crab with that 2 damage. You get it. It's got crab sandwich for dinner. Right. Now, if you have a look at the bottom of the mud crab card, there's a 1 XP symbol. So that means you both get 1 XP.
Excellent.
So, and that means you get 1 just by being in the same room together. I've put one on the Khajiit as well, because that's another reason to do dungeons together, because you all get XP being in the room, whether you fought or not. So it's a great way to level up together. Now, you don't spend any resources, so you go on to the next room. What have we got? We got a skeever.
Oh, no.
He's got yellow damage. Now, the Khajiit, you just attacked. So you can't attack again. So now it has to be the Nord. Now, Nord, let's have a look at you. You have got sneak as well because you've got the robe still. So you can sneak. If you had heavy armor, you wouldn't have been able to sneak. So do you want to sneak attack on him?
Yeah, I think there's no reason not to.
So you've got a base 3 dice plus 1 for the robes. You've only got 4 dice to sneak. And you need to get only 1 of the circle designs.
That'll do it.
You rocked it. So, look at your weapon. You've got 2 possible attacks. You've got a swing that does a yellow damage, and you've got a slash that does 2 red. This isn't doubled, only daggers double the sneak attack. Now, his armor is yellow, so you really want to do the red damage. Yeah?
I sure do.
And that's going to cost you 1 stamina, because you can see the little green stamina symbol here next to slash. So if you spend a point of stamina, and the other thing to note is you see this red one-handed token or kind of symbol there. What that means is if you had the one-handed skill, you would be rolling 4 dice when you attack. Or that's 3. So that's pretty good. Anyway, you attacked him. You were successful. You did 2 red damage. So let's look at his health. 2 red damage goes straight through his yellow armor, and he's down to 1 damage. So, quite typical of a Khajiit, he's going to come in and save the day, pretend that he hard work.
It was me all along.
So, Khajiit, you've got a choice. Do you want to attack with your spark spell or with your dagger?
I would love to attack with my spark spell.
Yes,
yeah, let's see how it works. So, either way, to be honest, he's only on 1 wound. Any successful attack is going to kill him now. So, if you look at the spark, you can do shock, which needs 1 triangle, or burst, which needs 2 circles. 2 circles is marginally more difficult, but it costs also 2 magicka. So maybe try the shock attack.
Absolutely. So I spend.
And wait, sorry, we haven't. He's got to attack you first.
Ooh.
The monster always attacks you first in the room. Actually, I'm so sorry. Oh no, the Nord, you did a sneak attack and you were successful. Yes. So now this is a normal combat turn, and in a normal combat turn, the monster always attacks you first. You can't sneak more, but you can only sneak the first time you enter a room, and then all combat turns are normal. So roll the red dice to see if the skeever manages to attack you. Got it. He bit you for 1 red damage. So have a look at your character board. Your ragged robes only protect you for 1 yellow. So same logic. It doesn't protect you against red, so the damage goes through and you take 1 wound. Okay?
Excellent.
Now you could, if you wanted, let's say that was a lot more damage, you could have gone, I don't want to take that. Instead of attacking, I'm going to dodge instead. So you would roll, say for example with the dodge, you cost a stamina and you just need to get 1 circle with the 3 dice, and that blocks all the incoming damage. Maybe you don't want to die, you want to risk being out, and you say, I'll dodge, hey Nord, can you finish him off? Anyway, so he's done some damage to you, now you can attack. Which attack do you want to do? Do you want to do your shock? Okay, so you're rolling 3 dice. And again, if you had the distraction skill, you would be able to roll a 4th dice. So roll away. You've got a triangle. You got 2 triangles. So you only needed 1, and that means you do 1 magic purple damage. But that was enough to kill him. And you finish the... And you both get another XP.
All right.
So if you each grab an XP from the top of the board and put it on your XP area. And just out of interest, these character boards are those double layer die cut boards. So it's got the nice slots to drop everything in.
That's dope, yeah.
So you should both have 2 XP now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I only got 1. Let's see. Where?
Yeah.
It's up here by
there it is. Got it.
Yep.
All right. There you go. So first of all, we did a bit of cleanup. So see the monsters, they've got a 0 in the top left hand corner. That means they're 0 level monsters. If you had leveled up and one of you was say level 1, you'd discard these forever. You'd never see these again in the 6 chapters because you've got more powerful. The game evolves as you do. But they're still there for now. However, it's not that easy. We're going to turn those over. We're going to grab the top card of the animal deck, shuffle the 3 together, and put them on top of the animal deck. So now you know there might be something more dangerous in there next time you go to a cavern, right?
Interesting.
So the game is slowly scaling alongside you and getting a bit harder. Now, the last thing is you finish the dungeon, so that means you get treasure. So come to where all the gear is, the equipment at the top of the board. There's an A treasure deck, which is advanced treasure. You get that typically from big quests and very hard monsters. And then you've got a basic treasure deck here. Let's shuffle it. So who did the killing blow? It was a Khajiit. Do you want to draw a card from the B treasure deck? What did you get? Oh, Amulet of Articulation. Gain 1 dice for speech tests.
Khajiit is good talker.
There you go. So, I mean, you could decide, for example, let's say the Nord had a speech test coming up in a quest. You might go, well, look, you take that. You're going to need it. You might take it because it's useful for you. You might take it because you can sell it for 5 septims. Of interest, the Imperial, when they pick treasure, they get to pick 2 and choose the best one if they take a wound at the end of the dungeon. But health all regenerates at the end of the dungeon, so why does that make sense? Well, if you were down to your last wound, you couldn't do it because it would kill you. And the other aspect of you can't actually die. Well, you can die, but it's not as bad as you think. If you have a look at the character board here, let's just reset your abilities. There's this little counter on the health track here. You see this black counter? Yeah, that's what's called the last wound. If you took 5 damage, you can't take 5. You stop there. What it means is you've got 1 more chance to use a healing potion to heal yourself. To go, I'm leaving the dungeon, I don't want to risk dying. Or you go, I think I've got this, I'm going to risk it. But then the results are on you. So it really helps you just survive a bit longer, gives you a second chance. And the other thing, if you do actually die in a dungeon. It's not as bad as you think. You respawn at the end of the turn in the same space. You don't lose any gear. You don't lose any equipment, any components, any money or XP. But what you do is you draw a threat for every player in the game, and you immediately draw an event card, and that probably generates threats. So that's probably bad.
Yeah.
So it discourages people from being a bit silly and just going out and like risking everything, because there's a consequence. Again, there's always a consequence for something you do.
And instead of just killing yourself, it screws it up for everybody.
Yeah. But you never get that moment where you're like, oh no, I've lost that cool sword I found.
Yeah, and there's also a lot more likely to be teamwork in a situation like that, where you don't want him to fail, because if he fails, you're all about to get 6th threat.
Yeah. Okay. You ready for the next that's the end of the turn. You did the dungeon.
Yeah.
So, first player marker moves to the Khajiit. So, Khajiit, do you want to draw an event card?
I would love to. From the top one, right?
Yeah. And you can just put it... Oh, yeah, put it on the act. That's right. That's exactly where it should go. This is called an active event. It's active until it's replaced by another active event. What does it say? Go to any stronghold, turn in 10 septims to draw an A treasure.
Ooh.
So A treasure is probably worth 11 or more septims, but they're usually pretty good, cool, powerful artifacts. And then you would discard this. Now, none of you have got that any money actually at the moment. You're still poor as hell, so maybe you'll get to use it. Who knows? Now we do have to take 2 threats, so let's grab a couple of threat here, and you both need to put that on your quest card, unless you want to put it somewhere else. So
I'll put mine on my quest card.
There you go. So you're at 2 out of 4. So I would say it's a very good idea to go and do an event, an encounter that will get you a side quest or a personal quest. So why don't let's have a look at what you can do as an option. Just to show a bit of difference, the Khajiit, why don't you go to a wilderness space? Absolutely. And the Nord, I think you're in a good space. You could go to Winterhold and do your quest. You're only 4 spaces away.
1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay, Khajiit's up next because it's your first player, so you go first. You're in a wilderness space. There's all sorts of interesting things that can happen here. If you have a look at the top of the board on the right, there's a wilderness deck and a town deck. So if you shuffle that, if you draw a wilderness card, turn it over. Right, who have you met? Wulin I Marise, a sick wizard. So this is an example. Yeah. So you've got, first of all, you get a component, and then you've got a challenge. And the challenge is showing you, if you had a plant, you could roll more dice. That's called push. Remember we were talking about pushing. Oh no, I don't think we did push in combat yet. So basically, you'd be rolling 3 dice. You need to get 2 triangles, which you might guess is a bit harder now. But if you have some plant components, you can roll extra dice if you're not successful. So the hint is, unless you specifically are looking for a certain component right now for something else, I would take a plant component.
Absolutely. I would like to do that.
There you go. If you grab a plant component. So Wulin is looking for you to prepare a decoction. So to help heal him.
Absolutely.
Do you want to roll the dice? Now, if you had alchemy, you'd be able to roll a 4th dice, but you don't. So you're rolling 3 dice, and you need to get 2 triangles.
Do I have to decide if I want to push beforehand?
No, that's only if you fail.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah, so it's good.
So roll 3 dice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh. So, well, that one's cocked. I'd re-roll the cocked dice.
Okay.
Hey. Okay, so maybe there's a risk now. Now, there's 2 triangles on each dice, so it's a 1 in 3. So maybe try pushing with one plant component to re-roll one of the dice.
Bummer.
It's up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
Oh, I'll keep going. Yeah, I'm already in this deep. I'm going all the way. No!
She's so sick.
So if you succeeded, you would have gained 3 XP. But it's not as bad as you think. Now, whilst you've failed the test, you could put that into the discard pile and someone could meet Willeen again later. Or you can take Willeen's story, their personal quest. So what that means is Willeen goes away forever. No one's going to see Willeen again because you're helping them now. So let's say that you're going to do that, and we're going to discard this to take card 104. So that goes in the box. This is how you get your personal quests. There you go. Under the Weather, Part 1. So put that down next to your quest. I put it in a line, just so it's not in the way.
Excellent.
So look, you can take 4 more threat now, and you want to put a quest marker in Falkreath. And you can see that this quest is going to be to enchant a house. And if you had some soul gems, you'll be able to roll extra dice. So in your travels, you're like, okay, maybe you'll pick up some soul gems to help with that later quest. All right?
Excellent.
So that's now expanded your story. The other thing to note is this is a personal quest, whereas black quests are main quests. You don't want to fail main quests. Black personal quests, these reddish ones, we're actually putting a black dot in the circle at the top left, so people with color blindness will know that this is a side quest or a personal quest. All right.
Excellent. No, that was really cool. I like how it does kind of mimic the feel of the game a bit in a really cool way.
Like I said, I want the depth to be in story, not layers of mechanics. And I think we've got that, but you guys can make up your own minds once you've tried. And people should definitely. You can totally play this solo very easily.
Yeah.
And actually, the only difference when you're playing solo is you don't draw an event every other turn. You draw an event every other turn, not every turn. So that reduces the pressure of threats and events on you, and that's it. So we've designed it to be solo from the game up or co-op. Okay, right. So you did the wilderness space, and now it's the Nord. You're in the town, and you've got your quest. Do you want to read your quest?
Yes, I would love to. My quest. I decide to look for my brave friend Carillion the Hunter at his house in Winterhold. The place is empty. A neighbor tells me he left in a rush a few weeks back. Inside, I realize he barely had enough time to gather his belongings. I look around for clues.
Right, you've got to open a strange-looking chest. Now, you don't have lock-picking, but you need to get 1 triangle, and you've got some plant components, so you can push if you need to. So do you want to roll the dice? You need to get 1 triangle first.
I do. I'm feeling like I can get 1 triangle. There we are.
You did it.
Nice.
You rocked it. So this threat goes away because you've finished that quest card. So that's how you can kind of, as long as you keep doing quests, you can always get.
Okay.
So turn over the card and see what the reward is. Okay, so there you go.
On a success, I open the trap chest with no problem, gain 5 septums and 2 experience.
Okay, there you go. Now look, it also, if you failed, you would have opened the chest, but a trap destroys its contents. And this symbol here is for the blades. That means a blade, one of the surviving blades, somewhere in Skyrim dies.
Oh, shit.
No.
Oh, God.
I just want to show you, top left of the board, there's a little deck here of the blades. I want you to imagine the most awesome people you could meet in Skyrim, the most amazing, cool people that would help you.
A guy with giant teeth, red hair, and a mullet.
Yeah. So what would have happened if you failed? You'd shuffle this deck. Look, there's all sorts of different cards in here. And then this one died. Let's see who that is. Merton the Bloody. If it's you, you saved my life. You know that? Let me replay the favor. You would gain a really awesome follower if at some point later in the game, you'll be told to draw card 217 because of an action. And that would go away forever. So your actions and your failures can impact what's going to happen later in the game. And these amazing cards are going to come out through various quests and stories. But he's not going to be there anymore. Merton would be dead if you'd failed that. But let's look again. Remember, if you had failed, it doesn't matter. Your story still keeps going. But luckily, you succeeded. So no one's dead just yet. So you gain your gold and XP. Did you get the gold, or I can grab it?
I forgot to grab the gold. I can grab it.
If you grab one, you can turn it over. It's got a 5 on the other side.
Perfect.
Okay. So do you want to keep reading the story?
In a hidden compartment behind the bed, I find a note signed by Karelian, the Hunter, addressed to any blades who find it. Someone was on his trail and he escaped. The note also mentions Moiva's recent activities. He points at Moiva Karnai and her hideout in an abandoned cave near Hoffingar. I'm going to go with option number 2. I will hire some mercenaries. Option number 1 was to storm the hideout by myself. No, thank you.
And you've got a bit of money, right? So there's a little bit of a clue there that gaining some money, hiring some mercenaries, you're probably going to be able to do better if you've got some cash. So let's get card 174 for you. Okay, this quest is called Clean Hands.
And we'll bring it over here, drop it next to my other one. Oh, that's right. It is my new main quest because I completed a main quest.
That's right. And as you can see, if you've got money, you can buy extra dice as the push. So that was a good clue. And you need to move your quest marker from where it was to a cave in Huffinger. And there's only one cave in Huffinger, so makes it easy.
And away I will go.
And that is your, that's your quest. Now you're in a town. You can do other things in a town. You could buy or sell. You could, if you had some soul gems, or you could upgrade one of your gear. Tell you what, let's pretend that you did a couple of other quests. Because we can show you how that works.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm really good at pretending, so we can pretend.
I'm going to bring down some soul gems. So look, in the town, you could go and visit the armorer as well as doing a quest, or you can and you can visit the enchanter. So look, you could enchant or upgrade your sword, and you could enchant or upgrade your iron shield. Why don't you pick one to upgrade and one to enchant?
I will upgrade the shield, which would cost 2.
Yeah, so what that means is, let's take this away. So we're going to draw an upgrade card from this little deck at the top. Draw one of those cards. Bring it down. So you're doing an upgrade. So if we turn that over, what that now means is, if you have a look, your shield now protects you against 2 red.
All right.
Cool, right?
Very
That's
cool.
awesome.
Now you could go, I don't really like that. I want to spend another ore to pick another card to give you a bit of choice. Equally so, have a look at the Nord. After he learns the smithing skill, smithing lets you pick 2 cards and pick the best one. And also upgrade costs are 1 or fewer. So he's really good at upgrading his gear. I'll just show you what another choice. You could have upgraded your sword. Look, that would have now added 2 damage to the slash attack. So it's really easy to make your weapons better.
Cool.
Okay. You didn't do that. You did that.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's spend the 2 soul gems to enchant. So go and grab another one of those same cards.
Boop.
And you're going to enchant the iron sword. Ooh. So this is pretty simple. You just put the enchantment is the top part of the card. look, you just gained sneak 1.
Nice. So now I can go back to heavy armor and I have a sneaky sword.
But you can't sneak in heavy armor. So you might go, I don't really know that I want that. I'm going to pay another soul gem to pay the enchanter to see what else he's got in his bag of tricks. So let's turn over. Now that's interesting. That would give you an extra 1 total magicka. So you're basically, it's like you leveled up, which is pretty cool. It means you're closer to leveling up to get another. When you get to level 2, you get another push in combat.
Ah, very cool.
And if you decide to use some spells, you've got more magicka. So I would say that probably that. I mean, both of them are, could be used. If you decide not to go with heavy armor and you went, say, with light armor, then you could keep the sneak on your weapon, and that would let you stay being able to sneak.
And now that I have the extra magicka, I might want to transition if I are there heal spells? Is that a thing, or is it always okay? So yeah, I might want to do something like that then.
Yeah, totally.
More of a cleric
and
type of build.
You could also maybe get rid of the shield and have a spell there instead, and have a spell in one hand and a sword in the other, much like the Khajiit has got. So there's all sorts of options for your character build. Now the other thing, I think, let's look at leveling up. So let's go across to the Khajiit. Let's pretend that you picked up a bit more experience in some of those failed.
Yeah.
So now you've got, let's say you've got 7 XP and you're ready to level up. As soon as you get 7, at the end of that turn, doesn't matter where you are, you can level up. So have a look at your character. You can now gain a skill token. If you took Destruction, you would gain an extra dice when rolling attacks with any spell that uses Destruction, especially Sparks. If you took One-Handed, you'll gain an extra dice when rolling attacks with the dagger. You could get Sneak, which would give you an extra value of Sneak. And look at the Khajiit. If he learns Sneak, he gains Sneak again. So he really doubles down on the Sneak ability. And you can imagine it's going to get harder to sneak some of those enemies that you meet in the dungeons.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick look at look at this dwarven sphere. He's sneak 3. Look, Dremora.
Oh wow.
Sneak 5.
Holy
and
shit.
ambush. When they ambush you, they basically, if you fail, if you don't sneak, they automatically attack you and then attack you again. If you able to successfully sneak them, you can stop them ambushing you. So, but he's pretty tough. So you might want to go up a level in sneak. So have a look at the skill tokens at the top. The tokens. There's all sorts of skills you could gain. So there's the various spells like Distraction, Restoration, Enchanting. Conjuration is quite cool. When you get a Conjuration spell, you can summon monsters in a dungeon to help you, and you might draw it. You've got various skills like Smithing that will let you draw 2 cards when you're upgrading. Armor, when you've got heavy armor, it gives you an extra point of heavy armor. One-handed or archery, you've got alchemy, speech, pickpocketing, lockpicking, sneak, and light armor, which will give you an extra sneak. And all of these skills have a double side. Let's have a look at one-handed. If you went with one-handed, when you filled in all your 8 skills, you can then pay quite a lot of XP, but you can pay to make one of them legendary. So you turn it over, and now you've got 2 dice with one-handed instead of 1. So for the sake of argument, let's say you are taking one-handed, yeah, to improve your attacks with your iron dagger. The next thing you would do is you can move one of your attributes up a level. So you're going up a level. You might think, well, I need more stamina because I'm always going to be doing maybe that stabs. But the Khajiit can lose a wound to gain sneak. So maybe having an extra point of health does double duty. Both gives you a bit more protection against attacks and gives you that ability to take a wound and increase your sneak ability. So again, you've got choices.
Yeah. I think that, I like the wound thing. It's always good to have more health, especially in the beginning.
Yeah. And so that's your leveling. So you would use all the XP. Again, we're pretending that you had the 7 necessary. The next one's going to cost you 8, then 9, then 10. Once you get to 14, that's you filled in all the skills that you want, and then the next one will cost 15, and then that lets you start turning these over as legendary skills. The cool thing is, in the crowdfunding, we've just announced on Friday these awesome, very exclusive foiled legendary encounter cards. Now, these are really, really badass enemies that are going to go into the dungeon decks. As soon as someone becomes legendary, and this can happen if you're playing for a couple of hours in a game, as soon as someone comes legendary, you put the first legendary monster in, and they're really, really powerful ones. And then the next legendary skill, you put another one in and another one in. There's going to be a lot. And each of them, now they're really tough, but they all have very famous artifacts from Skyrim in them that are really, really useful for the group and very powerful. So there's going to be a lot of fun that you can have.
That sounds like some really good progression. I like that.
Yeah, and those cards are only in the crowdfunding version of the base game. They're not going to be in the retail game. And we're unlocking quite a few. And then we're going to be going through what they are in our stream on Thursday, and telling you what kind of cool stuff and why we pick them, how we pick them, because there's all sorts of stuff we have to consider with the lore. You can't use gear that maybe the Dragonborn finds, because otherwise you can't find it. Or maybe you had it before he had it. So, as you can see, lots of fun choices there. The dungeons get really crazy and more fun. There's all sorts of things like the traps. Dwarven ballista trap, swinging blade trap, dwarven spiders, dwarven spider workers. What have we got here? Exploding gas traps, flame axe traps. We've got undead here. You've got a vampire mist walker, restless draugr, vampire fledglings, flamethrower traps. Look, these are only like up to level 2. And they're going to get really tough. Look, this swinging blade trap does 4 red damage.
Yeah.
At level 2. This dwarven sphere does 5 yellow damage. So you're going to have to really get some good armor and power up before you start doing the Dwemer cities. There's a lot of really fun stuff in this. And in the this is, so like I said, there's 2 whole campaigns, and this is 3 chapters each. If you were to get to the end of the 3 chapters in this, it's the clock then winds forward 25 years for the next campaign. So we're into the 4th era. The Dragonborn's off doing something, and it's your time to shine again. But you're a bit crap now. Like you're out of training. You've sold most of your gear to mend the hole in the roof and buy a new horse. So maybe you've got like kind of 1 or 2 cool things left. And you've got to start retraining your abilities, get back in shape, pick up those skills again. And then you're going to be like in the 4th era. And then we've got the Dawnguard expansion that both opens up a whole massive new campaign, another 3 chapters. And that has another whole deck. There's another kind of 100, I think it's about, I have to check, like just over 100 more numbered cards, loads of new quests, loads of new gear and treasure, loads more monsters for fight encounters. Plus, you can get vampirism. And here's a really cool thing: add Fort Dawnguard and Castle Volkihar to the map. There are 2 new locations you can go, and based on your decisions, some of you might become vampires. And we're going to be talking about the Dawnguard expansion more in our updates this week. And you remember when you rescue the vampire from the tomb in Dawnguard, and
you mean the moment my heart was stolen from me forever?
Yes, that's right. But then you go to Dawnguard with her, right? And everyone's like, wait a minute, you're with a vampire. And you're like, she's with me, it's fine. So the great thing with is you're picking sides. You're going to be vampires, or you're on the Dawnguard, and you're kind of supporting that faction against each other. But you're still all working together to defeat the big enemy. And it involves Daedric princes and all kinds of stuff. So the Dawnguard expansion is really good fun, really expands a lot. And then we've got the From the Ashes expansion. And that does all sorts of fun stuff. It adds lots of little mini campaigns in. So like the Dark Brotherhood might be tracking you down in the cities. There might be extra Draugr turning up in dungeons. There might be armies of skeletons on the march around the tombs. There might be bandits who will waylay you in the wilderness spaces and try and steal money from you. We've also got a big dragon expansion, a really big dragon expansion, and that in that box, that is a huge fight with a dragon across Skyrim. You're going to be confronting him several times. You're all going to have to really gear up, and you're all going to have to really work together to bring that dragon down. And there's big rewards if you do. And then finally, there's another little mini expansion there called the Ghosts of the Blades. So all these blades that have been dying are going to be generating ghosts, and they're back to haunt you, and they're going to be following you in Skyrim, and you've got to confront them. And if you confront them all, then there's some great rewards again as well. So that game adds all these extra kind of features and difficulty levels and add-ons and cool features that you add on top of the existing chapters. Because then you could just basically go back and go, let's play chapter 1 again, and we'll add the bandits mini campaign, and we're going to add the ghosts as well. And then when we get to the campaign 2, let's add in the big dragon expansion, because that'll be really fun. So there's all sorts of extras. And then finally, we've got the big miniatures upgrade set. And you see these, we had that little wandering monster of the Daedra. Mm-hmm. There's going to be lots of wandering monsters appearing, and these get switched out for miniatures. So you're going to have miniatures of vampires and Daedra and trolls and Thalmor and cultists all moving around, attacking the holes. And your work is going to be cut out, trying to stop them and limit them from attacking everywhere. And some of them are going to follow you as well. So and then it also has a free mini kind of bonus skirmish game that you can play with all the miniatures in that box, which is a very, very, very stripped back, simplified version of Call to Arms. And of course, if you like that, then you can go on and try more. So that's kind of what we're doing in the Game Found. And there's some really fun stuff. And I hope what you can see is it's so easy to get distracted and go, well, should we just do another dungeon over here? And you could start doing some of the other more difficult dungeons. You get more rewards. You're going to find. Let's have a look at some of the treasures that you can find.
I love that when you complete a quest, you immediately pick another quest tree to go down. It keeps you coming back for more, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Exactly, and you don't want to stop. You're like, oh, can we just do another turn?
Yeah.
Alex from Board Game Co. His comment that really stuck with me is people just go, just want to play one more turn. Can we just go another 10 minutes? and look at these treasures that you can get. Some of these A treasures. You've got an ebony sword, elven armor that lets you sneak. A blizzard. Look at this blizzard spell. It costs 3 magicka, does 5 purple damage, or 6 magicka to shatter and does 6 yellow or 6 purple damage. You've got this ebony armor. There's so many cool. Look, the ebony bow does 5 red or 5 yellow as its first attack, but costs 2 stamina, so you're going to need to upgrade your stamina to use it. And this is just the advanced treasure deck. There's so many more swords in the numbered deck, like really special swords and armor and bows and magic spells that you can discover through quests. And then we've got the dragon treasure deck, which is like from very big special quests as well that are even more amazing. So, and then of course there's the market decks, which have lots of cool treasure in as well, and stuff to buy and sell. So loads of choices and kind of upgrades you can get. I think I'm talked out now.
No, that's incredible. Yeah, so it's cool that you guys have the Dawnguard coming. Dawnguard is quite possibly one of the greatest video game expansions ever. So it's exciting
Yeah.
to see that you guys did
Yeah.
that.
And it's a big story expansion. And also, actually, in the base game, there's the Imperials and Stormcloaks. So during the second campaign, which is set during the Fourth Era, you're going to be taking sides with the Stormcloaks and Imperials, and depending how many players take which sides affects the storyline. So whilst you're never fighting each other, but you're kind of taking faction sides, and that affects the world. But you're still working together against the big enemies. So
that's really cool.
Interesting.
I love everything I'm seeing. I as much as it's gonna hurt my wallet, I think I might have to have this one. I'm a huge fan, and this seems like a very faithful adaptation. I love the carrying over of the iconography. You know, it gives it that feel, it gives it that nostalgia. I feel like I'm there again. I had a friend, my friend Rachel, made a joke that they figured out a way to port it to tables, which was really funny. But
they did.
This is definitely a very unique way to play, and also you can't play Skyrim multiplayer, so this is.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I think the big story is return to Skyrim with friends. Like, you can sit around a table with a group of friends and just go dungeon crawling, adventuring in Skyrim. Just, you're going to see some of those people that used to be adventurers. Like, one of the followers you can get is Mjol, when she used to be an adventurer. So there's all those characters there's loads of Easter eggs in this, like items and people and monsters and storylines that you're like, oh, wait a minute, I know this. So the design team have just slaved over this lavishly over the last kind of 2-3 years, putting all their heart and soul into making this a really fun storytelling experience. I want this to be
definitely made by people who love Elder Scrolls and who love Skyrim. It wasn't just made by people who paid for the Monopoly license.
Oh no,
this is not Skyrim Monopoly. This feels like Skyrim in an amazing way.
And I also hope it's, when you want that adventuring fix, when you want to kind of like we just want to run around and level up and do some cool stuff, this is that game you pull off the shelf, whether you're a Skyrim fan or not. I mean, of course, if you're a Skyrim fan, it's got loads more ticks in the boxes, but I hope this just becomes that staple adventuring game that you just want to play again and again, and you're just like, let's just do another chapter, or hey, we've got another, maybe we can get one more in this tonight. Now here's one more thing, is you can save the game at any point, because we have these little save boxes for every player and the board. So what you would do is, let's say we were like, look, we've got to clear up, we've got dinner tonight and we can't play till next week. So you put all the threat, all your quest cards, all your gear, all your counters, your quests, your skill tokens, your XP, your septums, your components in the box. And when you come back next week, so you can either do that at the end of a chapter, because each chapter has a setup, but you get all the gear from the previous chapter. If you're mid-game, it's very simple. When you start again, depending on how many skill tokens you have, if you've got one skill token, you can increase one of your attributes. You might go, well, I remember I had stamina, so I'm going to stick with that. But you might change your mind and go, I fancy doing health instead. And then you put your miniature on any of the towns. You can start on any town. Again, you could remember that you were in the wilderness space in Eastmarch. So it's very simple to reset the game. You don't have to take loads of pictures of the board to remember. I mean, you could if you want to make sure you put things down in the same place, but it's very easy to reset the board after a week or a month. And of course, what you can do, it means it's very easy. If someone in your group can't make it and someone else can, you give them the save box and go, set up the character as you like, and we're all going to start and play.
No, that's excellent. Yeah, for games like this, it's very important to be able to put it up and take it back out without too much difficulty. Yes. And it doesn't seem like it'd be too hard to do.
Yeah, especially as it rewards you spending more time. I mean, it's, I want to stress that if you just want an hour game, you could play this with us if you really focused. But the great thing is you can play an hour game and have a lot of fun and carry on another time. It's almost a simple GM-less RPG on your tabletop. It's got all the story, and you've got your characters that have, they've got their own little stories they're following. I think it's it's gonna, be something that people could play again and again and again and not get bored of it.
Yeah, as a game master, it does seem like a game masterless adventure. And as a board game hobbyist, I feel confident in saying that this is going to become a staple adventure game for sure. This is excellent.
I actually agree. I think so too. And I'm not as big into the board game scene as Jahan is, but I think this game really has a lot of big things that it does right. I think things it does very well. The stories integrated, how they change every single time, the different places you go to, you'll never come across the same quest, different items. And I wanted to play as an archer, but I picked a Nord, so now I already need to play again. I need to play as a Wood Elf so I can be an archer. And then I need to play again as an Orsamar because I always play orcs. I have to play this game at least 3 more times. I love what we have here, what you have here.
And that's the point. You might play as the Wood Elf next, but you'll see a different story every time you play as the Wood Elf. And even if you occasionally, of course you're going to see some quest pop up, and then you can take the different choice to see what happens. So you're going to, and just the way the quest structure spreads out, it's unlikely you'll see similar, encounters in the wilderness or towns pop up. There's all sorts of different cards that start to feed in from the numbered deck, and so the game grows in different directions based on your decisions. It's almost like it's procedurally generating from this planned story, but you're only going to see a slice of that planned story.
Yeah, before we started streaming, you mentioned that this is kind of like a resettable legacy game, and I definitely see that.
Yeah. I mean, it's at the end of that process, you're going to have a box with loads of discarded cards that blades that have died, creatures that were discarded. You're going to have encounters that you threw away because you took their quest. All kinds of stuff will have changed, and it's really easy to reset. So you take the numbered deck, you take all the cards, reshuffle them back into the decks. Any of the cards that are numbered go back in order in the numbered deck, and we've got this beautiful little box, like a Trivial Pursuit box or a Cards Against Humanity. It's wrapped with that beautiful stone relief from the Skyrim trailer, and it's got little card dividers. You might have seen it in the trailer. And all the cards go in there, so it's really easy to find the ones you need. And so it's ever so easy to reset and start again. And I have a feeling people are going to get to the end and go, we got to do this again, Like, I need to be ignored, and I want to see a different story. And because you just have so much fun seeing your character evolve that you're going to want to do it again and again and again. So, but anyway, I want you all to go and try it. Try the simulator. It's going to be free. We've unlocked, I think, all first 3 chapters of the simulator, so the whole version is going to be free to play. Starting from Christmas, the full version of chapter 1 will be there, and then January, February, each month we're going to update it with the next full chapter. So you're going to be playing this game on TTS, before the game ships in the summer next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. Yeah, for all of you who don't know, Tabletop Simulator, you can go to the workshop and you can find this game. It's on the featured page because, of course, it is. And
people downloading it right now because of helps that it's based on this this small game called Skyrim. Probably most people don't know about it, but so yeah, it's super cool.
So, Chris, we know who you are. We've been talking to you for months now, and before that, we were following a lot of your games, a lot of your projects. And to the people at home who don't know who you are, who are you? Why are you? What do you do?
I've got a mad long story. So I used to be a rave promoter, which for people who don't know what rave is, it's a very English thing. It's, electronic dance music promoter in the UK. So when I first I started playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Pause you, but rave promoter turned game publisher. This is the story is already great. You have you're swinging. It's a home run as we enter. I love this. Let's go.
So yeah, I mean, I discovered D&D when I was 8 with my brother, and Steve Jackson's Ogre, the little kind of tank battle hex game. Discovered in a knitting shop with when I was out with my mum one day, and no idea what this type of game was, and fell in love with those kind of hex style war games. and then got into the games. When I came to London after college, I started working for this company booking tours around the world. I was touring with like techno bands and people like Jamiroquai and The Prodigy, and doing big concerts. And then I left that. I was in TV for a couple of years, working on a science fiction show and an animated cartoon. And then I became the rave promoter. I was working for a thing called Tribal Gathering, which was like massive EDM dance parties, 50,000 people in a field. We were the first legal, because it all used to be illegal, dance parties in fields of 50,000 people. And we were the first legal one, working with the police and the health authorities. And we did these massive parties with the likes of Underground Resistance from Detroit, with Kraftwerk, Underworld, all the big name DJs, like 10 tents with music. It was amazing. So I did that for a few years, and then I started a PR company working. We were the first internet PR company, the first people doing emails to video game websites to promote games, and then I started a company called Joystick Junkies, which was a t-shirt company doing video games t-shirts. We were the first people to do official Atari t-shirts, and we did really cool fashion interpretations of video game graphics. What I like to say was they were so cool that people who hated video games had to buy them grudgingly because they were the hottest thing. And we had a lot of fun with that. I did that for 13 years, but literally by the end I'd been there and bought the t-shirt and was sick of it. And my wife Rita said, you need to do something you love. And she encouraged me to, explore the things I enjoy, which is games. And I'd previously made a role-playing game with Cubicle 7 called Star Blazer Adventures, which was an early edition of Fate. We kind of took the Spirit of the Century rules and rewrote them for space opera. And I did that with Cubicle 7, and I'd helped Cubicle 7 get the rights for Doctor Who. So I'd kind of got involved in the industry a bit. And then Kickstarter came along, and I'd had this mad idea for a World War II adventure based on Cthulhu, and had read At the Mountains of Madness by Lovecraft, and was like, ooh, what if there were Nazis in Antarctica? Ruined. And it just spiraled from there. And before you know it, I was doing this Kickstarter for Acton Cthulhu, the role-playing game. And I thought we'd get maybe like, $10,000-$20,000. And we took $250,000. So it went a bit crazy. We funded 10 books and a load of merchandising. And that really set the company up. Me and Rita, my wife, went full time. We set the company up together, and I did the mad ideas and she did all the hard work and, looked after the money and kind of did everything really that I wasn't doing at the beginning. I mean, we gradually hired people, and we started with, one employee, Michal, who's our kind of lead graphic designer. And now we're about 50 people.
Amazing.
And maybe about 100 to 200 freelancers at any one time who are doing editing and artwork. And I mean, just tons of amazing people who just create great stuff, great writing, great art, or just pay the bills and do the bookkeeping. And it's
something I love to talk about is people in the gamers, all of us. You don't have to be the best writer. You can be an editor, you can be a proofreader, you can be a project manager, a community manager. There are a lot of jobs in the gaming industry. And I feel like as a kid growing up, there's kind of this idea that like you're not going to work in games. Like I don't know why, but it seems like it's kind of exclusive. Like you're probably not going to work in games. But I'm starting to see more and more. There are so many jobs and so many careers. There are so many, like you said, contractors. So many people who are just doing art on the side or writing their own systems. And in this world of Kickstarter, it's not impossible for you to say that you could be involved in the gaming industry. It's not.
Oh, for sure. It just takes time. And one of the hard things is people want to have a life. And if you want to work, if you want your own company, if you want to really, go from a bedroom creator to a pro creator, you've really got to put the hours in. And I always say, do the thing you love, the money will come. Focus on what you really are passionate about. If you're passionate about art, if you're passionate about writing, If you're passionate about editing, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're passionate about accounts, do that really well, and the money will come. And that's what I focus on all the way through my life. I've always told people, just go after what you love and focus on that, because that's the most important thing in life. It doesn't matter if you're happy, you don't care how much money you're earning. And if you're happy, you work crazy hours, you do a good job, and the money then comes. And you just got to focus, and it takes time. You know, I've always told people, when you're doing Kickstarter projects, when you're working or in business, it's going to take all your time. It's going to take all your weekend, all your evenings. You can't just go, I need to go to the pub tonight. And I mean, you know, you should have a life, but if you really want to get set up, and you need to work hard at it, and it's a lot of sweat and tears, which is why a lot of people don't do it. But I definitely say, yeah, go after what you love. And also, it's really important to remember that, and I used to do, I'd go to my school and talk about careers, and most schools, because the teachers don't really know what kind of jobs exist, they'll go, well, you can be a banker, or an insurance salesman, or work in a shop. And there's so many amazing careers. And I'd say, look, you might not be able to get up on a stage and play a guitar, but you can be the administrative assistant in a record company, or you can be the person fixing the cables, or you can be the person booking the tours, the transport and the air flights. Just because you're not creative doesn't mean you can't work in the creative industry. And the same thing with tabletop games. Like, we have people who do ring up shops and get sales. We have people that pay the bills, do the bookkeeping. We have people that are graphic designers and 3D sculptors and project managers. And often project managers, like, you just have to be good at organizing people. Are you good at organizing people to get something done on time and getting it done on budget? Then you're a project manager and you could work for us. And we've been we've been recruiting people who are great GMs, because great GMs are really good at organizing people, funnily enough. And people who do loads of games all day long are amazing project managers, because it takes a lot of work to organize all those people and all the work you're doing. So I really do say, like, don't imagine that you can't work in your favorite industry just because you can't pick up a guitar, or you can't paint a picture, or you can't design a great game. And if you want to design games and you've never done it, just do it. Just design the worst game that you've ever seen, and then do another one and do another one. It's like a muscle. The more you design, the more you write, the more you draw, you're going to get better and better. And it might take a year, it might take 5 years, it might take 10 years. I'm 53, right? And it's taken me 10 years to build this business. But it took me until I was 43 to realize even that this is the thing I really wanted to do. And weirdly enough, all the things I'd done before had led me to this point. All those weird jobs I did through the years taught me marketing, taught me about events, taught me about organization, taught me about speaking and doing PR, and taught me about promotion and marketing and design and research and stuff. And weirdly, I use it all now. And I'm so glad that it took me all that time to get to here, that I didn't start doing this when I was 20, because maybe I would have screwed it up. And so I'm always happy about the route that I've taken. And you should be happy about, whether you're doing it now, or, don't feel bad that you're not making games at 25. Maybe you'll do it when you're 35 or 55, and you'll just focus on what you really love. And there's so much potential in people if you work hard and go for the thing that you really care about.
No, that's excellent, and I had no idea that you were a rock star of the nerd world.
I don't think rock star is the right word, but I'll take it.
It's what I would use. It's pretty cool. Your story is awesome. Your company's great. We here at Fresh Out the Box are currently playing Dune Wednesday nights, 7 Central to 11 or to 10, and lots of fun. You guys won an award for that. And it looks like you guys have another hit here with another great IP.
Thanks.
It's just amazing.
Thanks.
What? So you guys make board games, you make war games, you make tabletop role-playing games. What is your favorite of those sort of table hobbies? And I know it's a hard question, but
I think it's how you fit. I mean, when we have our games group, if I've had a really long day, I might just want to crack out a game of Zombicide, because it's just easy, it's fun, and it kind of, we play Black Plague a lot. It's like kind of a really simple D&D game, right? You get to move around, kill monsters, get some treasure. But equally so, I love, role playing. We played a 3-year campaign of Music Chronicles, and I improv a lot. I used to teach improv. I also had a drama group for another story. And I improv all my games. I love not having a script. I love not having a written adventure, and I literally create the adventure on the fly. I use the feedback from the players, and it's just so enjoyable. And you can go on completely mental adventures and do that. And so it kind of does depend the day you've had and the energy level. And there's nothing like having a Saturday afternoon and cracking out a game like this and being able to play as long as you want. But equally so, sometimes you just need a kind of an hour, 2-hour fun, simple experience after a long day at work.
And are there any games coming out that are either board games or tabletop games that you're excited to see? Things that they're on your wish list, things that you've been wanting after?
I think the new Pandemic, which is the World of Warcraft edition.
Oh, yeah.
Looks really, I'm excited to try that.
Pandemic Wrath of the Lich King, yeah.
Yeah, there's the Silver Bayonet by Joe McCulloch, which is the new narrative solo war game. He wrote Stargrave and Rangers of Shadowdeep that we sell into retail. And Silver Bayonet is Napoleonic skirmish and monsters, so that looks really fun. And there's so many great board games. I mean, that we are literally in a ridiculous golden age of some of the best board games, and there's too much choice. It's not like, oh yeah, most of them are trash. Most of them are amazing. And I saw this great post that someone said is, I found the most awesome game on Kickstarter, and it was the perfect game for me, and it turned up, and I've been playing it. But now there's another perfect game.
Mm-hmm.
The trouble is there's too many perfect games, right? And they're really good. And how can we play them all?
And this is the same thing. Same way video games have been our entire life, is they just keep getting better. They keep adding deeper story. And, not every game is a slam dunk, but, you can't stick with one game. As much as I would love to still be playing Morrowind, unfortunately, they made Oblivion, and then they made Skyrim. And the perfect game just gets better. That's exactly right. I think we're living in a time of tabletop role-playing game renaissance and board game renaissance, and I really mean that. I think they're going to look back in 100 or 200 years and say, holy shit, look at all these amazing games that were coming out, and you just couldn't play them all. You couldn't see them all. There are great products and indie developers everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's
an amazing time to be a gamer.
Kickstarter and GameFound and other platforms has just transformed our industry to allow people to do beautiful, really beautiful product, well designed, beautifully creative, innovative mechanics, innovative components like meeples with little swords you can stick on them, and just all sorts of ideas that have come out, and really, cute ideas. Legacy was a big thing. I mean, that wasn't Kickstarter, but the whole renaissance of game has led us to things like legacy mechanics, which are, Pandemic Legacy is genius, and it's like, I can't get enough of that. And, there's just so many, I worry that, can I play all the games I want to play before I die?
The answer is no.
no, exactly. And there's all the war games I want to play, and all the role-playing games. It's even worse. It's, if I only like board games, I'd have a chance. But I'm, might as well give up now.
I'm also double afflicted with the tabletop RPGs and board games. I can't stop, and it's killing my wallet. It's killing my time. But I wouldn't want to spend it any other way.
Yeah, sure. I mean, a lot of people would be blowing it in a bar on a bottle of vodka on a Friday night. So
I was thinking the same thing. At least you're not drinking that money away.
Yeah,
I know. It's a lot of people waste their money on cigarettes, booze, and all kinds of stuff, and drugs and whatever. And we're in this great, amazingly creative hobby that I was thinking about it today. That what we do is we bring people together and make great friendships, right, over these games. And I met you guys. We've made all the great friendships at conventions in the past and stuff, and we have this shared love of these awesome worlds, but it's all about bringing us together and connecting over these cool stories.
And it's this old art form of this ancient art form of storytelling where you don't even need to write it down. You can just tell a story and be entertained with your friends. And it's as old as time. And it seems like if you take to the internet, people are trying to fact check you, or everyone has an opinion, or everyone has something to say. If when you go on social media, of course, you're posting there, you're asking for it. But storytelling in a safe environment, somewhere where you are around your friends, is as old as time. It's just so fun. There's so much to enjoy. It became a stigma for a while, just playing make-believe with your friends. Who knows why, but I'm glad the stigma seems to be over for now.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, you see the number of celebrities who are talking about playing D&D and, things like Critical Role, which are forging new ground for role players, and just the sheer, so many people are aware of it now and, getting into it. So it's a great time for people to find. I mean, I love finding new gamers. So what I do is, the big thing is, people go, oh, but it's really hard to find people for my gaming group. It's not. I'll tell you one secret is cook dinner. Now, just make something good. I don't care whether it's pasta or a really nice healthy salad. Don't order pizza. Cook a really nice dinner, get a bottle of wine, and say, I'm inviting you over for dinner. Most people are bored at home, and you might see their social media that they're out having a good time. They're not. It's what it's like. It was like, oh, look at me, I'm in a club, or I'm in a concert. No, they're not. They're most nights they're home, and they're bored. And everyone loves a dinner invite. I don't know anyone who turns down a free dinner, right? So all I do is I go, come over for dinner. We're going to have a bottle of wine, and we're going to play this storytelling game. And then they come over, and we do the first game. And I'm not going to go, by the way, here's a 50-page rule book, go and figure it out. I'm like, I've done this all for you. Just, trust me on this. We're going to try this story. And 9 times out of 10, I win them over, and they want to play again. And I do loads of groups like that. So the secret is learn to make a great dinner, figure out a recipe, be really good at that recipe. So people are like, hey, I'm going to come again. That dinner's tasty.
That is.
So that's my top tip for building your gaming group.
That is the first time we've ever had that tip, and that's amazing.
I think we should do a cooking show for gaming.
Somebody call Mr. Kapow. Mr. Kapow would love to be on.
That's true. And they have so many cookbooks from video games, including Skyrim. My friend Packer, he did a cooking show where actually I went on one of them where he cooked this great food, and then we ate the food, talking, and played our Thunderbirds board game way back. That was about 5 years ago. So, but yeah, find out how to make a great dish and invite your friends for dinner. And before you know it, you're going to have too many people coming over to play role-playing games or board games. No, that's excellent. That's excellent advice. Certainly. I would be interested to do that.
That's it, Jahan. I don't have any more questions. I went through all my questions already. So do you have anything for Chris, or does anyone in the chat have anything for Chris before we let him go back to his life? And while we're waiting, I was going to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you for responding to us. Thank you for being here. You're on the other side of the world, so we had to play musical time zones. But we got it all squared away, and we're so thankful to Modifius. Like Jahan said, we're playing Dune. We're playing the 2D20 system, and it's our first time playing the 2D20 system. We're loving it. The way that we have control over NPCs and the items that we have that are not insubstantial, like having a squad of 4 soldiers as a usable item. There are things in that system that were so cool to me that changed the way narrative gameplay works.
Yeah, glad you liked it. Yeah, it's been a real nice, that system just keeps evolving over time. Every new edition of 2D20 is a chance for us to try new cool ideas out. And I'm working on one of our next ones that's a big secret IP that's our next story after Acton Cthulhu. So we're going to be unveiling that soon.
Oh, we look forward to hearing more about that, of course. We look forward to featuring it and all that good stuff. Loved having you on. Great meeting you. You never know who you're going to meet, but you're the nicest guy. So cool. Such great advice. I guess is there any advice you would have for you already talked on this a little bit, but just like one thing of advice for aspiring game creators from a master himself?
Well, I would just say, get your ideas done, get them out there. It doesn't matter if you think it's rubbish and it's not ready. If you're writing RPG scenarios, you could get them published. You can literally have a Word document as a PDF and put it out on drive-through. Just get it out there and do it again, and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. And you're going to get better and better and better, and you're going to build up a following who start to like your stuff, and you're going to get critiques about how you write. And just keep doing it, because this is your creative muscle needs to be exercised. And the worst thing is to have, we've all got it, that big pile of ideas in a Word document or in a printed out file. I'm like, one day I'll do something with this. No, just get them out there. And it doesn't matter if it's crap. just do another one. And before you know it, like all those bands out there that you think are great, they were really crap 10 years ago or 5 years ago. And they just kept gigging. Every gig they did, they got tighter and tighter and tighter and better and better. And before you know it, you'll be putting out some great stuff. And that's how you do it. Don't be afraid to get it out there.
One of the things I always like to say is even your favorite band has bad songs on good albums. There are filler tracks that just aren't great. Not everything you do is going to be a slam dunk.
Yeah. And your first thing you make is probably rubbish. You might don't think, no, this is the be all and end all. It might be that your 10th or 50th game is going to be the hit. But keep going. You need to get better and better, and don't put this block in front of you that I can't stick that out. It's so bad. It's like trust me, there's always something worse than whatever you think is the worst thing you could put out.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong. Just get it out there, get it in the world, get your ideas out there, be passionate and care about what you do. Tell people, and if you love what you do, it will show. And I think it shows with what I do. And when I did all my interviews about acting theatre and stuff, I love what I do. I love talking about it. And when you talk about your projects, people will see that and they'll care about it. And you get a connection. Just keep going. Winston Churchill's famous, I've got a mug where he says, never, ever, 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 ever give up. If you've watched the movie where, Dunkirk was happening and they literally nearly surrendered to the Nazis and that was it. It was all going to be over. And he refused to give up. He kept going. And that's what you got to do in this industry. You've got to keep going, keep fighting away, create cool stuff. Doesn't matter if everyone thinks it's rubbish. Just keep going. And one day you'll wake up and you'll have a nice selling game. And you'll be surprised how you got there. But it takes time.
Some truly inspirational advice. Is there any way I can get you to send me bits of inspiration every day? Because it's like jet fuel, man. I'm ready to write. I'm ready to do everything now. But some true inspiration from the rock star of the Nerd Kingdom, Chris Birch. It's great meeting you finally. Great having you on. Thank you so much. Everyone check out Modifius. Check out our games all week. And Chris, is there anything you would like to say before we go? I
think I've done everything.
Excellent. Check out Skyrim on GameFound now. Links in the chat. And follow Modifius at Modifius on Twitter. You can keep up with Chris Birch and all the amazing things he's doing. Follow me at RockFact. Follow Gary at CasualtyCDG. Check out Fresh Out the Box on YouTube. Fresh Out the Podcast on literally everywhere where you could possibly find podcasts at this point. And thank you so much for watching, everybody.
All right, guys. Yeah, thanks a lot.